Hey everyone, a nerd named Mark here, and guess what? I'm doing a comic book review. I know, this is crazy. I am going to be expanding more, doing more comic book reviews here on YouTube, and if you're listening on the Nerd Named Mark Review RSS podcast feed, um, like I said in my most recent podcast episode, I was talking about how I want to expand outside of just when I do my haul video sections of the podcast to actually pick a few issues, review them. I'm mainly going to be doing a lot of the shorter run stuff in manga, and then from a standpoint of you know when larger arcs come out, I'm doing a lot of trade waiting right now. I will be covering the trades. So for this video, for my return to reviewing comics, I'm going over a little, little team up, so to speak, between Boom Studios and IDW with Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #1. We just talk about these covers really. Oh, I love the covers so much. For those of you listening, covers are on my social media at under Mark. This, I never thought this would be a crossover that I wanted. Before I get into it, like I said, it's co-published between IDW Studios. The writer of this is Cullen Bunn, and I was like, the name sounds familiar. And then I realized he's written a lot of stuff that I've read. He did a lot of stuff from Fear itself. He did Deadpool kills Deadpool, Deadpool team up. He did a lot of the stuff from Venom back in like 2012. So like he's got stuff I've actually read. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm on board. And then the artwork is from Freddie Williams II with coloring from Andrew Dalhouse, and Freddie Williams, known Batman team, stuff like that. And he's done, Panther and the Flash. So, spoilers. I'm going to be telling you what's happening in the comic. I'm going to give you an overview of everything that's happened in the first issue, and then I will share my thoughts on the story and everything else, and talk about some of like the full art pages and this and that, which will go up on screen if you are watching. So obviously with all the TMNT stuff they've done, or TMNT, wow, I was thinking about the Power Rangers crossover with TMNT, and then also the crossover with Justice League. Obviously, separate universe, nothing tying into studio stuff that's going on Mighty Morphin or Power Rangers. This one starts off with Tommy following Rita, Goldar, and Scorpina. They're in a temple. Just took out all the monks, and she's looking for a gem, and I believe it's called the multiversal focus, because that's kind of what they called it, but then they kept saying gem. Um, so, uh, obviously Zordon's like, "Hey, just watch. You're just doing recon." And Tommy, being Tommy, just hastily starts attack, and Rita uses this gem with her staff to transport them to another multiverse universe place where the Power Rangers never exist. So I was like, okay, this is intriguing. Right off the bat, they see Godzilla and a kaiju fighting. Off the bat, I know a lot of kaiju's from Godzilla, and I'm drawing a blank on which one it is. Um, so probably at this point there'll be, if you're watching on YouTube, there'll be a splash image of that panel of those two fighting. I mean, the art style alone, like Freddie, like killing it with his artwork. I love this artwork so much. Very colored pencil feel to it. I don't know how to really describe art. Like I'm really bad at that, but it looks so good, and you get to see kaiju wrecking each other. Rita's all like, "Oh, there's monsters on this planet, but no Power Rangers," so she's like, "I can dominate monsters." The Godzilla take out the kaiju. Um, it's kind of funny when Tommy disappears. They cut to the command center with Zordon, like saying, "Okay, Tommy signal. We're gonna find it." They're all gone, and there's this panel. Don's there. You see all the Power Rangers in front of him, and Zach is looking like a little beefed up, like he is jacked in that. I was like, at first I was like, "Who's that?" I was like, "That's Zach. Why is Zach so beefy?" Like I was like, he must have stopped dancing and started just high protein diet, hitting the weights maybe 2 a days. I don't know, but he looked jacked. Like he was, and Jason was jacked too. But like they made Zach look beefier than Jason. I was like, all right, hey, maybe Zach will just punch a kaiju in the face. I don't know. I mean, I'm all for it. So they're gonna trace his signal and try and find him. Uh, Back on this new Angel Grove, we see Rita questioning what's going on. They find some of you know the little minion dudes from like Planet X. They dispose them very quickly, and then the Supreme Controller shows up. They talk, and he explains how you know Godzilla is like the defender of the planet. All the monsters they've summoned have just failed. And there's this line where Rita's summon monsters, and you don't dominate their mind and control them. And um, that was kind of a cool line. It's kind of cool. Like every time they do this crossover, someone Rita find or Zed, even depending on what it is, like find someone from that to like kind of align themselves with, which I appreciate. Entertaining. Um, by this time, we find out Tommy's there with them because at first Rita's like, "Oh, there's no danger. We escaped them. This is the world is ours." Blah blah blah. And Tommy sees Godzilla destroying Angel Grove, and he doesn't realize at first that he's in a different universe because he's like, "What has happened? How long have I been out?" Like, because he thought he was just, he came to, and he thought probably he was out for a while. Um, so instantly he sees Godzilla destroying Angel Grove, decides to summon the Dragon Zord. Which right off the bat, I'm like, well, if it's a universe where there's no Power Rangers, how is there a Dragon Zord? That's one thing. I'm like, that's confusing, but it is issue 1. It might be explained when everyone's there if they could still communicate with Zordon. I don't know. I would like to. I'm assuming that would be explained. So we got this cool full page art of the Dragon Zord coming out of the water, facing us with Godzilla's back shown, watching it, and I was like, that was so good looking. Obviously, you're looking at the page right now, but I was like, man, that was good. And then we got a couple pages of just Godzilla and the Dragon Zord fighting. Rita realizes the Green Ranger there, and they're like, that's no deal. And we just see Godzilla hurting on the Dragon Zord, and I was like, ooh. I was like, all right, because obviously, if anyone's ever watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Green Ranger, Dragon Zord coming out of the water, this and that's Godzilla. Okay, 100%. So Tommy's, basically Dragon Zord's just about to be destroyed. He's, in shock and this and that, and then we have the Power Rangers show up. And the last panel was so sick, seeing them all show up on like the rock formation. There's like staggered, not all like in a row, and the coloring of it, the artwork on that page thing right now, so good. I enjoyed that last panel. Like there's some good full page art panels in this issue, and I'm not surprised because they did the same thing with the TMT crossover, same thing with the Justice League. They were always good at giving us like 2 to 3 really good full page artwork in these issues, and Freddie Williams job, like his art style, and that's like it worked for this this series, what this is going to be like. The style definitely really good. And now my thoughts. So I enjoyed it. It's uh, obviously I'm a big Godzilla fan, and that's not a secret. I like me some big meaty kaiju's, and I'm also a fan of Power Rangers, which no secret, Tokusatsu, big fan. Um, I what issue it? I'm already enjoying this more than the Justice League crossover, but the Justice League crossover had some good like one-liners and humor to it, which I enjoyed. So that crossover was entertaining. From Yeah, it was serious, but they had some good humor interjected in there with banter between like the Flash and all that, Batman. Um, and the TMNT crossover was good. Um, it's just one of those things where it's like, as Tommy's always at the forefront of everything, and I get from a Godzilla standpoint, this would make sense because he has the Dragon Zord. So that I'm on board with. Don't get me wrong, I'm on board with that. Just I'm in that camp where I'm tired of Tommy. The team tired of Tommy, and I will say, covers covers. I think this is gonna be 5 issues, might be 6. I think it's just 5. I didn't really look into how many issues, but it was one of those comics that I don't really like a lot of crossover stuff between different, IP. Never been a real big fan of that. Like the TMNT one was, like I said, TMNT was good. We got some great quotes in that one. Um, like I still like the line where real ninjas in silence like lasagna. That's still my favorite line of any like comic book, like from a one liner like comedy standpoint. I love that line so much. That was so good in the Power Rangers TMNT one. And so, well, from a Godzilla standpoint, I was like having Supreme Commander, SpaceX included, so it's not just they're in Godzilla. Like we have them as kind of like the giving us the information of the world, what they're trying to achieve, Godzilla and this and that. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in the next issue. We got some at the end cover, I believe, and I'll cover like I already told the comic shop, I was like every cover, please, and they're like you don't do variants anymore. I'm like for these I will because I love Godzilla. Godzilla and Ultraman are the only ones I get variants for. So at the end of the day, this was a really good issue. I strongly recommend you check it out. If you're a Godzilla fan, you'll enjoy it because Godzilla wrecks the Dragonzord. If you're a Power Ranger fan, you're gonna like it because it's Power Rangers against Godzilla. Who would have thought this would have been like something someone would just be like, "Hey, what if Godzilla and Power Rangers like fought?" And obviously, the route of any time there's been crossovers like this, obviously they're probably gonna team up with Godzilla at some point. So that's gonna happen, and I'm just like, I'm waiting for the panel where Godzilla and the Dragonzord are side by side about to go take on some kaiju's. Like that's gonna be a sick panel, and I'm here for it. So go check that out. Go check your local comic book shop, or you can wait for the trade to come out and pick that up. I thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought. What do you think Godzilla vs Power Rangers? So weird, yet it works. And I will see you guys in the next video.